We have all heard the term politically correct. Friends talk about it, politicians fight about it. And with an issue as sensitive as determining what words are offensive and what are okay to say, it's no wonder that being PC is one of the most hotly debated modern controversies. But where did it come from? And how did it turn into the massive argument that it is today? In 1923 Germany, a think tank known as the Institute of Marxism soon after changed to the Institute of Social Research to hide its roots in Marxism was established. The institution would change people's thought processes by beginning to wean away their rights, specifically voicing opinions about other people, to explain that in communism there is no individual. The institution moved to the United States after Hitler's takeover in 1933. What we know today as political correctness developed in the 1960s when society was in disarray. During this development, both sides of the aisle were active participants, especially during wartime. It moved from not only words to actions. Neither side owned the term, but for a time it was helpful and accepted. Leading up to the 1990s, America saw another shift in the phrase. It was used every which way, straight, ironically, satirically, interrogatively. It became a term laced with partisan feeling, owned by the left and despised by the right. Looking at the ideologies of each side, conservatism has a tendency to maintain existing views, while liberalism is the belief and value of social and political change to achieve progress.
In American society, with so many religions, cultures, races, and lifestyles, who or what determines what is considered politically correct? It is evident that no one entity establishes the guidelines. The qualifications for political correctness are results of anything from government policy to social movements to political parties to specific individuals. One strong example of a group determining what is politically correct is when various university officials in the 1980s and 1990s looked to advance the politically correct agenda by implementing and promoting classes that celebrated American multiculturalism. This was in response to the fact that the term politically correct was used by conservative campus activists when describing, as Thomas Riggs in the St. James Encyclopedia of Pop Culture puts it, the liberal movement to impose codes of conduct that would eliminate behaviors deemed racist, sexist, homophobic, or otherwise. The imposed codes of conduct were backed by the intention to give oppressed groups a stronger voice in society. While both of these changes were backed by good intentions, many students and faculty on campus disagreed with the new policies. Critics claimed that these new rules were often used to silence the opinions of conservative white males, and that they were enforced, often without regard to due process, by governing bodies eager to serve the needs of so-called oppressed minorities. Examples throughout history have made it very clear that no matter who does the determining of what is politically correct, this topic is highly contentious. And this is largely because
political correctness encompasses more than the mere use of acceptable words and phrases. It is the combination of socially conscious language, behavior, and values that work in an effort to prevent racism, sexism, and general intolerance. Political correctness has had far-reaching societal and cultural ramifications, and its practice has affected modern American vernacular, policy, and thought. The aim of politically correct language is to avoid or replace words and phrases that could cause offense or be seen as discriminating against certain sections of society. This general concept can be organized into 4 specific examples. The first to consider is the general avoidance of offensive and derogatory terms. The second example is the use of appropriate ethnic labels. A third form concerns the use of gender-neutral terminology. Lastly, the use of euphemisms has gained popularity in an effort to avoid offending the sensitivities of others. It is also important to note how political correctness has affected laws and policy. Officials must now consider political correctness when handling hate crimes, acts of sexual harassment, issues in the workplace, and passing of legislation. Many modern-day examples exhibit this need for greater sensitivity.
For instance, although the term mentally retarded was created with no negative or demeaning mood about it, society has developed a tendency to use retard with a negative connotation. Therefore, new terms such as mentally handicapped or mentally disabled are much more common and acceptable today. Other historic terms for a group of individuals are simply inaccurate. For centuries, Indians was a term used to describe individuals of indigenous American descent. However, this was in no way accurate and dated back to Columbus mistaking the Americas for India. Native American is both historically correct and carries with it more respect. However, not all politically correct initiatives have been so successful. At the heart of the modern political correctness debate lies the Washington Redskins controversy. In the early 2000s, opposition grew in size and influence against the name of the professional football team's mascot, which was said to be a racial slur. However, an Annenberg poll, asking a wide pool of self-identifying Native Americans, showed that over 90% of individuals were not offended by the team's name. Siding with the majority of pollers, Redskins owner Dan Snyder issued a statement claiming that he will never change the name of the team. On the other side of the argument lies Susan Harjo, the leader of the opposition against Snyder's team. She dismisses the poll's findings and claims that the self-identifying factor of the poll led to skewed results, citing the fact that leaders in most Native American tribes oppose the term Redskin as a team name. Ray Halbritter, a member of the National Conference for American Indians, stated that the NFL should not have any right to continue marketing, promoting, or profiting off a dictionary-defined racial slur, one that tells people outside our community to view us as mascots. The debate continues to this day and begs the question: if any number, no matter how small, of a minority group feel a term is misrepresenting, does it deserve to be removed or changed? With the exception of the Redskins controversy, opposition to cultural sensitivity was often minimal from both the public and political spheres, that is, until recently. In the early months of 2015, a movement took hold of several college campuses nationwide, banning the American flag. To say the least, these actions towards cultural sensitivity were highly debated. Take, for example, UC Irvine. The Student Council of UC Irvine voted to remove all American flags on campus in order to remain culturally inclusive. While they may have felt one way, their own administration did not necessarily share the same viewpoint. Chancellor of the school, Howard Gilman, along with the Associated Students president, denounced the actions of their pupils. While the intent of the students may have been cultural inclusion, the impact seemed rather hypocritical, banning a worldwide symbol of cultural diversity. And with this came the question: has the political correctness movement been taken too far, to the point that it actually prevents social progress and freedom of speech?
And why are the college students so politically correct?
Just kidding. That's what liberals say instead of Happy Thanksgiving. What political correctness be damned, am I right?
And truly, political correctness with young people, for me, it's an overcorrection for a serious problem, like bigotry and racism.
He's just telling it like it is. But God forbid you say happy holidays in December. It's war.
I think the big problem this country has is being politically correct.
With some controversies, widespread opinions have developed to a point in which most agree with one polarized position. But with political correctness, American viewpoints are still very much divided. While the intent is cultural inclusion, many believe that being PC has been taken too far. So where's the line drawn? Where's the balance between offending and overprotecting? Who decides, and is there an answer at all? Due to the subjectivity of political correctness, there only exists a gray area between what is too much and what is not enough. Perhaps that is why it has become the extreme controversy that we see today.